So we'll take a minute to talk about, what's in the car. What have I accomplished thus far? So basically, it's a '79 Z28 Camaro. As soon as I smack the throttle, just right on, no delay. Okay. QA1 upper and lower control arms. It's got Viking double adjustable coilovers. Let's see if we can get a sneak peek into here. And yeah, it's got a CPP high clearance adjustable front sway bar. And Tough Stuff power steering pump, Tough Stuff water pump, Hurst line lock. Just because, let's face it, doing a burnout in a 4-speed car without dumping the clutch is pretty nice. The AC delete panel took quite a while, but I'm happy with the end result. Nice and clean. But you got to do a lot of that modification yourself. There was no holes drilled in it either. It came with no hardware. It was just a piece of fiberglass with a rough shape. It's got a hydraulic clutch conversion, McLeod throwout bearing. McLeod Woolwood slave cylinder, and makes it more enjoyable to drive. And McLeod Super Street clutch. I think what's most impressive is, this thing was down to just the body on jack stands. The whole subframe came out, refinished, sandblasted, CPP 500 series steering box, rag joint delete. I made this steering shaft. Runs up. It's got a Flaming River steering column. Let's face it, I tried to rebuild the factory column, and because it had the typical GM play in it, where those 3 triple square or Torx bolts get loose. And instead of just going in to tighten those, I dug deeper and ended up thinking I could rebuild that column. Well, by the time I got into it, I said, fuck this, and I ordered a Flaming River. I converted to relays for the headlights. Okay, so the 12 volts comes right over from the battery to the relays. When I turn my high beams on or my low beams on, these are your 2 signal wires going to the relays. When I turn my headlights on, or when I turn my high beams on, sends power to one of these wires, which sends power from the terminal in the relay to the headlights. So you end up with 12 volts straight from the battery right to your headlights, in turn making your lights much brighter. The rear seat, I got a beautiful set of Corbeau LG1 seats. The cage has been welded in by a kid, Brennan Walters. Did a great job, local guy to me. It's a 4-point DSE cage. Rear seat delete I built myself. I'll show some pictures of what's underneath there, but it houses the auxiliary fuse box and 2 amplifiers. And yeah, everything has been redone. The headliner's new. I mounted tweeters in the headliner and the old factory SEPO retractor covers, because the crossbar mounts my 4-point, 5-point harnesses. So rear speakers on the shelf, tweeters in the headliner, Corbeau LG1 seats, black carpet. I wrapped everything with Alcantara to match the micro suede and the seats up front. NPD dashboard. I got a coolant temp gauge. Factory gauge is all refinished, and with the addition of the oil pressure gauge I told you guys about. Matches everything. New vents. That switch there, that's an override switch for my cooling fans in case the temp sensor ever fails. Now my fans are set up on a temp sensor, so once I reach temp, fans kick on. Once I drop to proper temp, fans kick off. And just in case that switch ever fails, we've got a override switch right there, so that'll automatically turn on the fan. Axia Alloys actually makes these brackets, and all these are is, there's a 1 5/8. You can get them in any tube diameter you need, and they have a threaded hole in the bottom that allows you to mount things to your roll cage. Well, in my case, it worked out where I just manufactured my own brackets, and I used furniture nuts inside the rear seat delete panels. So as I tighten up the screw going through the panel, it actually just pulls it tighter in. And I used an epoxy to hold the furniture nuts. And then these just thread into the bottoms of the clamps. That's what's holding my upper portion of the rear seat delete in. And I used a few riv nuts to make my risers. These panels here bolt to the floor of the car. Everything's been manufactured out of MDF and Poplar. I used a lot of Poplar to make the framing, and then thin MDF to make the flat surface. Everything was wrapped in foam and then upholstered in Alcantara. So today we're going to start applying seam sealer to the firewall. Every little crack and crevice has to be sealed, otherwise, you know, water's going to get in and cause you problems. So we taped off everything so we can get a nice clean line. And go ahead and apply some seam sealer all around everything, and take you through the process. Now, when you're cutting your tip off for the seam sealer tube, I recommend not to cut too much off. So we're going to go ahead and just take off a sliver. You want to cut it at an angle too, so that way when you're applying it, you can kind of get it flush against the panel. And remember, you can always take off more. It's easier to, you know, just trim off a little extra if you want. The other thing I'll do is I kind of compress it down a little bit, so put it against the table and just kind of give it a good press, and that'll kind of give you that tighter, more wider line rather than such a circular blob. Helps get a nice clean application. Can't use that. I don't plan on painting over it, though. I do have this product from Dynatron. I guess we'll be giving this a try. Hopefully I don't need more than one tube at this point. I don't have that much left, but it's supposed to be gray. You know, it's better than tan, but it's definitely gonna need some considering. You basically apply your seam sealer wherever you want to apply it, and then you apply some pre-paint and prep on top of it, okay? And what that'll do is it'll allow you to get a nice smooth edge. You know, you can use your finger or, you know, a cloth or a spreader or whatever you want to do. It'll create that layer of anti-resistance between, say, your finger and the seam sealer, and it'll allow you to smooth it out instead of just sticking to your fingers. I'll show you what that looks like. So you apply a little bit, get your finger, you just wipe some of that prep on there, okay? You kind of come around and create a smooth edge. And you can be as messy as you want because you're going to peel that tape off and it's all going to look nice and smooth and uniform, right? So don't be too concerned about being messy at this point. In fact, be as messy as you want. Just don't get it on the shit that you don't actually intend to put seam sealer on. And if you do, wipe it right the fuck off. Because this shit sucks to work with. And quite frankly, I'm really pissed that I don't have any black seam sealer. I have to use this shit. I can't wait 2 days for Eastwood. I tell you, it must be nice to live somewhere where, you know, Eastwood or Summit Racing has an in-person, you know, store, retail location. That'd be really cool. I wish I had something like that around here. Always remember, when you're done, wipe up your hands, wipe off the tip. Pause. Honestly, wear some shitty clothes when you're doing this, because you're gonna get it on yourself. I just got it on my fucking jeans and alright, again, it's gonna get a little redundant, a little pretty. And you come around and you really just rub it all around. Give it a nice smooth edge. Make sure you're getting it on all of your openings. You know? But I'm thinking the best way to go about this really, I think for me, is going to be when it's all said and done. I'm probably just going to get a small pint or quart, whatever I can get, smallest amount I can get of that Eastwood Underhood Black, which is what everything's been sprayed with. And I'll probably just brush on some single stage over the seam sealer. And that way it ties together. I mean, I highly doubt you'll see touch up. It's a matte color, semi-gloss if anything. And it's not a perfect finish. It's a pretty close to perfect finish. So I think we'll be safe doing that. One of the tricks is you always want to peel your tape off before the seam sealer dries. So, recommend a clean glove for that too. So you don't want to get it on shit that you don't intend to. Sweaty hands don't always go right in the glove. Both the brake master cylinder and the brake booster were painted with brake gray from Eastwood. And I gotta tell you, they are good paints. You gotta know how to use everything properly. And the key is flash times. And when you're using a spray bomb, it doesn't have that 2K activator. So you gotta read the labels and learn. When you apply the product properly, it's going to come out the way you want it.